Hey everybody, and welcome to episode 23 of Front Office Exchange. Thank you for joining me, and it's just going to be me today. Another one of those episodes, so thank you for joining me. Lucky you, just me. But, I just interviewed my 20th executive on the podcast. It's been an amazing first 20 episodes. We've got a lot more in the queue. Really excited for who's to come, but wanted to take the opportunity now to share some of the advice that these executives have shared. Now, if you've listened to all the episodes, you've heard all of this, so you can skip this if you'd like, but I wanted to share with you 4 of the best pieces of advice I thought that I gained over these 20 interviews that I've done. I'm also releasing, today is January 18th, 2017, and I'll also be releasing an article today on LinkedIn that I'll share out through all the channels that has the advice that all of the executives have shared. All of the advice is great, but for the purposes of this episode, just wanted to share 4 pieces. Now, the first comes from Mike Burling, General Manager of the Durham Bulls in Durham, North Carolina. This is episode 9, and I'll just read these quotes verbatim. So he says, a couple pieces of advice that have helped me as I've gotten older. Work on the business, not in the business. Early on, I struggled with that. I wanted to be part of every single decision, whether it was tickets, sponsorship, retail, or operations, and you can't be successful that way. You have to look at the big picture. The other piece of advice is sometimes you have to play for the tie. I'm a pretty stubborn person, and I always love to battle, argue, and debate things. This has really helped me over the last 5 to 10 years. You have to pick and choose what you fight for. You really have to see the big picture and figure out what is your end game and make decisions on a daily basis that fit with that end game. Now, obviously, as a GM, he touches all of these areas now, but he came up as a young sports executive in Wisconsin, and then down in North Carolina, he joined the Bulls again at a young age and has risen and been a GM there now for many years. So he has obviously experienced the advice that he's passing along. The next piece of advice comes from episode 10. Now, that was featuring Jason Wilmoth and Will Baggett, 2 executives within IMG College. This comes from Jason specifically. Now, Jason and I went to college together. We had our first sports jobs together at UNC. He's had a great career with the Rays and other stops as well, and now especially at IMG College in Winston-Salem. He said, I'm competitive by nature, so this piece of advice hit home with me. In your professional career and even outside of that, whenever you're interacting and communicating with folks, play the point game. Try to score more points with someone when you follow up with them proactively. If you're having a conversation and your boss or a peer of yours asks you to do something or delegates or assigns something to you, you score a point when you follow back up with them before they have to check with you. You score a point by being proactive and keeping things moving. They score a point when they beat you to it and they have to ask you what the status is of something, or they have to follow back up with you on something before they've heard from you. The goal of the game is to win. Don't let them score points. Sounds pretty simple, but that advice works. I don't care if you're in sports business. I don't care if you're a recent graduate or a senior level executive. That is just great advice. Keep things moving, stay proactive, win the point game. Next piece of advice, episode 15, David Shoemaker, General Manager of Razorback Sports Properties. I love this. This is just, even before this podcast, this is something that I've tried to do, and when David said it, it just underscored it. Find a way to say yes, David said. Find a way to help people. I'd run around at a golf tournament and run myself ragged figuring out 40 ways to tell people no without being a jerk if they asked for something I couldn't do. You get that a lot in sports business. People are asking for something all the time, whether it's tickets or an experience, or if you're at a golf tournament, hey, can I borrow your golf cart and drive it out to the parking lot? What I realize is that you don't just say yes, you don't have to do that if it's something you can't do. But how can you find a way to help that person? How do you say, no, you can't drive my golf cart to the parking lot, but hop on, I'll take you to the gate over here. It's only 2 minutes out of my way. Or you could also say, no, I don't have any tickets for the sold out game this week, but I'll put you in touch with somebody who might. Or I can find you tickets to something else. Try to help people in whatever way you can. It's a great stress reducer. Again, I just thought that was perfect. And having worked in golf events myself, I could definitely vouch for the golf cart request. But again, just in general, If you could say yes, if you can help people, it works for you. And David, even outside of sports business, talked about it being a stress reducer there for your mental and physical health as well. Just something to keep in mind. Finally, episode 21, Russ Scabetti, Vice President of Product Strategy for Core Software and the founding editor of thebusinessofsports.com. This one really hit home for me too, and I think it will for you as well. If people are struggling between a decision of taking one job or another or making a career change, he said simply embrace your skill set. I had a technology background when I was trying to get into sports, and I was actually trying to avoid technology a little bit. I didn't want to be pigeonholed as the IT guy, writing websites, doing programming. That wasn't what I was interested in. A mentor gave me a good wake-up call. He said, "What are you talking about? You have a competitive advantage in the fact that you're comfortable with all this stuff. Just find a new way to apply it. Think about your skill set, embrace it, and be creative with it." And that's coming from former employee with the Jets, someone who's come up through the NBA and the NHL, and now he's VP Product Strategy, Core Software, and through his businessofsports.com, you can find him everywhere. He's highly, highly thought of in the industry. So again, those are 4 pieces of advice. Look for the full article on LinkedIn later today. I'll share it out through all the channels on social media. Big thanks to all the guests that have come on. It's been a great ride so far, and again, many, many more to come. And thanks to you, the listener. I appreciate all your comments, all your support. Subscribe, leave comments on iTunes, everywhere. All of that helps. It helps me choose what guests that you'd like to have on, and then just shape the podcast in general. Thank you again. We'll see you on the next episode of the Front Office Exchange.